Welcome back to Music Now, a podcast from The Skinny talking to Scottish musicians about their music and how they make it. I'm Laurie Presswood, and this time I'm talking to Kai Reesu, the jazz hip-hop ensemble whose debut album, Compromat Volume 1, won the 2025 Scottish Album of the Year award. Bandleader and pianist Paul Copeland and rapper Jurnalist joined us between mix sessions for their next album to talk about how their writing process is changing, what makes jazz bands different from other bands, and putting the music ahead of your ego. Congratulations on the Say Award win. 6 months late, but very exciting. How have things been since then?
It's been nice. A lot of new friends. A lot of people paying attention that wanted to act like they weren't paying attention before, but are paying attention now, which is banging. It's nice. It's what happens. It's like being the new pretty girl in high school. Everybody wants to talk to you.
There's some element of it's been quite overwhelming. We don't have a team yet. Because I didn't want to just jump into, all right, we won, we better just get a manager and all this really quickly. So we're building the team slowly. I think things are going to normalize once we've got like a manager, a booking agent, and that type of thing. So at the moment, there's a lot of admin. But one thing that's truly heartening about it is just like, particularly when we did the vinyl rollout, just people that had never heard of it, like it's giving it to a new audience. Even people in little corners of Scotland, like Glen Rothes or something like that, like tagging you in their story, like just heard this amazing album. It's really cool.
You mentioned yesterday that you're in the middle of mix sessions for the new album. How's that going?
Yeah. I keep saying it's like, it oscillates between 85 and 95% done. It's at that point where it's like really hard to tell.
How long have you been in that session at the moment?
Maybe 2 months.
Is that normal? I have actually no conception of how long mixing normally takes.
I think it's actually fast, although, well, not like that's a flex. It's definitely not, because, yeah, I could see how you could spend 10 years on an album just because you need to take breaks, basically. Because what happens is you're listening to something for so long, you've mixed the hi-hat, and then you mix everything else. And then by the end of the session, or by the second day of mixing it, you hate the sound of the hi-hat and it's completely irrational. So like you have to like step away, and sometimes you have to step away for like 2 weeks, and that's how it ends up taking longer. Cause like I like to come back to it, and it has to feel, I have to feel like a listener again to some extent, and it does help showing it to people that are genuinely listeners and you're in a room with them. Because it's actually scary. Like you're like, oh yeah, you realize immediately what you're saying is what you need to change. Like, oh yeah, I need to get rid of that delay or something.
Start playing it for other people. You're just like, oh, can't believe I left that turned up all the way. It's like, I'm supposed to cut the end of that off.
Yeah.
I didn't do the cleanup work.
So is it more about, are you watching their reactions in real time, or is it more about actually just the very act of being in a room with someone else makes you realize what you haven't done?
I would say exactly both, but I was definitely referring to the second thing. It's just like your feedback of what you are most self-conscious about in the mix is like becomes more apparent when someone else is there, because you've it's normalized to you. You've heard it like 100 times in the last couple of days or something like that. You're not even thinking about it. But yeah, it's also funny when something comes out on Spotify and you listen to it with somebody else, or with a group of people in a room on Spotify, and it just all of a sudden sounds different. I don't know if...
that's because Spotify's the bastards. They what's it called?
The fidelity is terrible. No,
the way that they compress things, like that's why we're like in this arms race to who can be the loudest. Now masters are coming out at like -7.5, -6, and I'm just like, that is absolutely so loud. I've been trying to mix some of the stuff that I'm doing at that level, and I'm just like getting from 12 to 7, just 5 or 6 dB is like, that's ridiculous how hard it is to get that 5 or 6 dB back out of a mix. Mm-hmm. And it's not even that large of a jump, but like it is really, really loud. But it's like, why is everything getting so loud? It doesn't need to be, because you're just losing clarity of the sound just to be like, oh, well, my record's as loud as this record. And it's just like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. And we're moving to headphone mixing as well, which I'm kind of happy about.
I do think that Compromat Volume 1, shout out to Paul McAnally, who's our sort of go-to mastering and mix finish guy. He mixed 3 of the tracks, the 3 most important tracks on the album, Measures, Purposes and Hood Sermon. But I do think he did a good job of not like making it horribly loud. I think it's like a nice round sound. Yeah. So shout out to Paul.
Big Paulie boy. There's a lot of Pauls on this project.
So how was the writing process for this album? I think you said that you'd been writing together more. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think our process from when I came into the band to how I guess we just do things now is quite organic. So they'll be jamming about, and then I'll be sitting in the room while they're jamming, and then I'll come up with something. And as they're kind of figuring out the form of like what they want to be like the A, the B, or the C section, then I'm coming up with what I want to be like the hook or the verse or whatever the concept is. Or sometimes Paul will be like, yo, this is kind of what I'm feeling for the song. So I'll get a pretty clear brief, and then I can kind of just write to those like it's an essay to school, which for my particular writing style kind of works because it kind of lightens the load, but also directs me of what I need to say. So it kind of makes it a little bit more streamlined. And then I guess kind of just happens naturally. It's almost like it's magic. It's like, how did this song happen? It's like, leave us in the room for 2 hours, we'll have a song.
Exactly that. But also, it's funny, like when Jurnalist joined at first, I wish I could say everything was intentional. I think in a sense, it's great that it wasn't, but so many of the songs on Purposes, you had that for what, like 10 years, 7 years?
2016, 2015 maybe, when I wrote that one. And then I released it in like 2018, and it did like absolutely nothing.
It's just sitting on SoundCloud.
Yeah, just sitting on SoundCloud. And then he was like, yo, you got bars for this beat? And I was like, yeah. And I rapped him, and he's like, I want those bars. I was like, sit on SoundCloud, babe. Like, you can have it. Like, it's no problem.
Measures is 2 different verses conjoined from 2 different songs. Like, and in fact, like when we were recording Measures, the second verse, Jurnalist had never put that on Measures before. He just happened to just do it at the time, and it was like the second take, and that's what we used.
And we were just hanging out in the studio when that happened, because it was like the end of a recording session at Starla, and we was kind of just like, all right, last takes, like let's see what we get. Yeah, and then I was just like, oh, this fits right over here. Yeah. Actually, on the album, you can hear it because it's such a like a freestyle take that I mess up the hook and don't remember the words for the hook properly. So I go back into the first couple bars of the first verse. So it's like first 4 bars of the actual hook I'm supposed to be rapping. Can't remember those. Oh, we'll just go back into the verse again and just shut up.
That's good. That's like a mixtape vibe.
It's a vibe. Yeah, exactly.
No one was thinking it at the time, but because it was the end of the session, everybody was completely relaxed. We'd already succeeded in the session. We'd got what we wanted, and we were just tagging on 40 minutes of recording anything. And what we got with Measures was just like this perfectly laid back rendition of how we sound. It was beautiful. But yeah, to go back to songwriting and how it's changed now, like I'd say this album's way more conceptual, which is something I've often shied away from. But there's darker themes. You could probably thread something through it. It's like there's themes of loss, and there's a lot of like love and lust, and there's even some sort of I guess like sociopolitical themes as well. It's a darker album, and we did write together like Serpents or The Last American Painting. We wrote those very much, and Golden Statues. Golden Statues was a Jurnalist wrote something on another beat, and another rapper, Carpenter, who's guesting on the track of the other beat. I was like, he's talking about something totally different. And Jordan's like, well, we're going to need to write a whole other song then. So we wrote this whole other song to fit the verse, which was perfect. And now that's probably one of the strongest songs on the album.
That's actually one of my favorite phenomenons in music is when you get a guest rapper on a verse, and clearly there's been no communication. I'm not saying this is what has happened here, but when there's been no communication evidently between like the person who's guesting and the main artist, and you get to the rap and you're like, this is a completely different theme. You don't seem to know what the story of this song is. Nah,
for me, I really...
You don't like that?
Nah, because I'm just like, I know this is art, but at a certain point, I think we all need to come back to earth and just like, this is a fucking chop. Word work. So now the word work, how do we make this a more enjoyable listening experience and not just this like romanticization of like, yo, we're artists and we make songs, whatever happens happens. It's like, yeah, that can happen, but like, I've asked you to do this song and now I would like to know what I should talk about on this song. So I've cultivated the skill of like dissecting other rappers' bars and kind of figuring out where they're coming from. So I can always fit in as a feature on your record because I've done a lot of feature work. So doing that, I think, has made it easier. So like for the song that we have with Carpenter, getting in his headspace to kind of write a verse, the style that I think he writes his like lyrics in was kind of a challenge for me because there's a lot more freedom I find in the way that he writes his stuff, where he's just sometimes saying things that maybe to him have a lot more succinct connections. But for me, I don't really always get like the cultural like references or the jumping off points. So to kind of find a balance between those two and then emulate that in my own style and then provide a verse for that song, it's quite a bit of a challenge, but we got there. What is the name of that song? I totally forgot what that song is called.
It's a working title. We've called it Pro Quo.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because it's
that's
kind of
working
like
title.
About some, it's just like about like what would you say it's a bit like the sort of rough and tumble of modern living and just like trying to scrape by and
like little snapshots of like thoughts or like moments that I guess kind of come up throughout like the process of living. I think is kind of what it's about.
So for people who are unfamiliar, can you talk me through the setup of Kai Reesu? Talk me through the band.
Oh, that's gonna be on Polly Boy.
I'm on keys. Matt Simmons on the drums. Robert MacArthur is on bass, although he may be migrating to guitar. He's a phenomenal guitarist.
Exclusive.
Harry Weir, that is an exclusive actually. We've got Harry Weir on tenor, and Michael Butcher comes in on tenor as well. And we also have frequent guest appearances from Rebecca Naomi, the singer. Occasionally we'll have Carpenter, the rapper, and we like to keep a little ecosystem on the outer circle, right?
You gotta have your collaborators. What about Kara Rose as well?
Kara Rose, yeah.
Yeah, she's a gem. She's a blessing to work with.
Yeah, she's so good.
I think me coming like into this band world from like a hip hop world, I think the thing that kind of blows me away is like these bands that are built off of like one guy's idea and his name. So let's say it's like Jerry Stevens and the Brass Cats or some shit like that. So it's like nobody knows who the fuck Jerry Stevens is or the other like 12 people on stage. There's always like a rotation of players in and out. So it's really hard to kind of like as a fan latch onto what they're doing musically or them as a collective unit and be like, cool, like I may not like Jerry, but like Tom, that's my guy. So like I come watch Jerry's band because Tom's in it. But like in an actual band, you kind of pick your favorites and then you kind of stick around with the band because like those people will be there and you can return for those things. And I think that is a really strong element that we have is we are a unit, and that kind of makes it to where it's easier for, I guess, like a community or people to kind of rally around us of what we're doing because we're like, oh yeah, like I'm betting with these guys. This is the team I'm rocking with. Yeah. And I find that to be so strange that so many high-level musicians would just be like, I'll hire gun myself out to somebody's jazz band and just be like, I can get kicked out next week. It's like, what?
And it must be better for the writing as well. I mean, if you can
100%,
know what people's tastes and abilities are and where their strengths are, you can just bounce off each other better.
It does make it a lot more comfortable because there's, I guess, like an internal language that gets built in a band that, like, we've got the worst pattern. But from having the worst pattern, it develops like a trust and a communication that, like, if I want to try something stupid, well, I've been using terrible pattern with this guy for the past 6 months. It's probably okay to say this whack line to see if it is whack or like feels a lot more freeing to like create with the person that you kind of develop those relationships with.
Yeah. And also I'm a fan of very high level professional level of music where you can put a score in front of somebody and they can play it. And I think that's all great. But what I have with Matt and Robbie, we've been playing together for 10 years. And it's like, it feels like telepathy, but it's obviously not. But like, you know, you're just kind of, it's like, oh, wow, we both changed at exactly the same spot. And we're both kind of, you know, we're doing something really similar. yeah, like Jern said, there's a common language even around the music that will develop.
How do you approach writing now for the 5 of you or the 6 of you?
Paul, Matt, and Robbie kind of do a really good job of always kind of like hanging out, even if they're just there to like actually just shoot the shit. And in them doing that, they'll kind of knock up a couple of ideas, and then those will kind of get filtered into the band, and then we'll all come back together, and then they'll start working on the pieces, and it's kind of the same process. I guess Paul's really like the nexus point for all the production, because like I'll go to his flat sometimes and it'll just be me and him, and that's how we came up with like The Last American Painting or stuff like that. Yeah. So then it'll be a lot of one-on-one sessions with Paul, but like each individual member of the band kind of does this with Paul, because I think it's called like The Machine Is Working or something on the next album. That was something that me and Paul eventually worked on together, but actually is a Mikey Butcher production, like collab with Paul. And then on the last album, Or Is It Serpents, that Harry came through and did that one. So it's like everybody in a natural way just kind of links through Paul. So I guess he'd be like the nexus point of like the production. So you're going to need to go see the man to be able to get your stuff done. But if you go there, it just happens. And then I'll show up a couple of days later like, oh, that's bang. And then I'm like, all right, cool. What's the theme? Do we have a brief? Give me about 45 minutes. I come back with some bars and see how these work.
I would say there's two parallel paths. There's like one is just like very band based, which so like something will get written akin to like how a rock band would write, I would say, where it's like it comes from a jam. And then, like, you've got an A section, a B section. It's like a verse, a chorus, a bridge. And you just sort of roughly sketch it out, give it to Jern. He writes bars, and then we arrange the song around the bars and also add things in. I mean, music for me is very much like it's about the meaning of what's going on. Whether, like, if I have an instrumental where I feel like, okay, this instrumental's about that, then that has to be conveyed to Jern. If Jern's saying something that I think is very powerful, then I have to express that with the music.
So that is, you're not, journalist, you're not coming in with your own headspace. You are specifically, you're told this is what this is about.
It's either Paul has a brief, because he's like, well, when I wrote this, I was speaking through the music emotionally in this way, or like I was having these kind of sentiments through the music. So for me, my individual writing style, I don't know how other musicians do this, where they just like scratch ideas down and be like, oh, like that'll be a hook one day if I just get the right music. That's absolutely so alien to me. That's disgusting, actually. I respect it, but it's disgusting. I need to hear the music, and then the music will whisper in my ear, this is the song I want to be. Talk about these things. And then that's actually so easy for me, because like I'm only doing the music once at that point. I'm not like in the session like, oh, I gotta be the best rapper. It doesn't matter, man. Like the song says you can be the best rapper on this beat because it is produced in a way where like you could rap and like show off all your flashy technique, or like I just need a regular song from you and it's gonna be about loss, and then that's what I have to do. I'm always like following the music, so it's really good to like work with Paul, because sometimes he'll have a brief, and his brief, at least in my experience working with him, naturally aligns with what the music is kind of wanting to convey. So it's kind of nice to have like a framework to go off of. But yeah, for the most part, I'm never coming in with like, had this idea last night, want to make a song about XYZ things. Like, nah, like, can we get a beat that allows me to talk about sunny days? That's where we're going to need to start. And then I'll be able to do it. Like, what's the name of the Microdose Get Hive joint?
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's completely, we haven't touched it in ages, but it's so good.
But that's one of those where I was like, I want like a summary type vibe song, and then happened to show up at Pause, and then they had that, and I was just like, oh, cool, banging, come up with this. And then that turned out to be
on site.
There's on site, yeah, it's on site. So it turned into a completely different song on another production.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that really comes through, because when I listen to Kai Reesu, the thing that jumps out to me the most is that I don't feel like you're rapping on top of the music. I feel like you are another instrument, but you're kind of like rhythmically so in tune with the rest of the group. Yeah, it just feels really cohesive.
I'd say I'd have to give that over to Paul and Matt, because Matt does a really great job of playing. Like after he's heard the song and we rap on it probably like 2 or 3 times, he can kind of swing the drums a little bit more in line with like my flow. So then that kind of locks me a little bit more into the beat. And then Paul's always making sure I have like enough space on the beat, because that was the thing that when I do like jams or I'm working with other producers, I'm always like, I'm having to fight for like space on the record. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why is it set up like this? So it's been really refreshing to like work with the band and be like, cool, like this is your moment and your moment is here. And then after your moment, I'm gonna need you to shut the hell up. Cause like now it's other people's moment. Cause I'm from like a hip hop background where for the next 3 minutes, it's all my moment. I'm not supposed to shut up at all. But like in a band, like sometimes I'll be rapping over Paul's keys and then I look over and I can just see his face and I'm just like, supposed to shut the fuck up, whatnot. And I was enjoying this too much. It's like, there's one too many hooks. It's like, nah, don't do that. And learning that, it actually helps accentuate the live performance and for me to better understand the music. Cause now I didn't really know that like, when he's playing the keys, he's like speaking through the keys. I didn't really understand this process or concept until like he explained it to me one time. But now I really get it. And now it's nice to see that like, oh, his moment to speak to the crowd and like really get them to like lock into what he's providing to the song really is like, it's part of the listening experience for people. And I was like, okay, that's banging.
I would say, just to add, we do write sometimes to what journalists is, if you had a couple of verses like Rick James, for example.
I mean, I'm ready for Ricky Jambo.
That's a big song for us. I mean, like if you've seen us live, that's the one that goes off. Yeah, and that's going to be on the next record, and we're just can't wait. It sounded so good as well. Just super excited about it. But yeah, I mean, you had that song basically all of it for a while beforehand, and then he was just rehearsing it with us once, just like. And Robbie was playing this very classic hip hop bass line in a kind of Phrygian mode. It's like a kind of chromatics, like boom, 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 boom type thing. And it's just like, yeah, and he's just like, it's like the swaggiest bars. And we basically arranged that entire thing around the lyrics.
Yeah.
So we do invert it sometimes. And that's part of the beauty of it. Also, Memoirs, I would say, is really driven by Harry's sax playing.
Yeah, facts. That sax playing, and then when they get to hear Mikey's solo on that joint, like the people I've played it for, like, because like when I was writing it, I was like, I want somebody to cry. Yeah. And then based off of the music, it felt like something I would cry to. So I was like, that has to happen. And then the people I played it for so far, everybody, it's not been a dry eye in the house. That's perfect. Get your tissues ready, folks.
With Memoirs, we all came in to the studio together. I'd just been on holiday and it didn't go very well. And like, there was a quite somber mood in the studio when we were doing that song because it's really sad. And Mikey just belted out the solo. I think he did like 2 takes. And then afterwards he was like, I'm not happy with that solo. So he came back and tried to do it again. But like we were listening to it and we were like, I just like the one before because it just sounded like you were crying. It's like, it's just technically worse, but like it was just the mood in the room. The
emotion is right. That's all that matters. Yeah. I think that's something for me musically I really try and like focus on is I don't really care about anything besides how does it feel. So you could like mess your words up. Fuck it. That's the take that's going out. Cause like it feels right. And I know from my experience, the music that I enjoy the most and the music that I've seen on a global scale be received best is it feels. It's the motion of the record is the thing that sells the record. Yeah. So if I'm like doing any sound engineering work and people give me a terrible performance, but it's recorded beautifully, I've got to do so much work to try and find a way to put life into this terrible performance. But a great performance recorded terribly is far more better to work with because there's tools for me to fix terrible recording. I'm the engineer. What am I going to do? There's no give life to performance button or plugin available. So it's like, nah, give me performance and vibe always over perfection. Perfection is dead. It doesn't exist. It's a myth. Don't believe them folks.
So I wonder if you can tell me how this process looks in relation to a specific song. I know we've touched on this. We've touched on several songs already. But if there's any one song that you think you could isolate to talk through the process of writing and production.
Yeah. I think Purposes is a good one.
Yeah, Purposes is banging. When we first started working together, the patchwork stuff was kind of like our main go-to because like I'd have stuff already prepared from like prior times of meeting the band. So I'll come into Paul's house and Robbie and Matt will already be there and they're kind of just like jamming through the song and it's just music at that point, but they know what their A sections are, their B sections are, and their C sections. And then I'll sit there and kind of how it happened with like Purposes or with Measures was these bars in my brain fit thematically and sonically to this song. So then I'll rap over them and see like how close to the pocket of the beat does it feel like my lyrics sit, and if they sit well together, that's when then it's like, okay, we can then turn this into XYZ. And then for like Measures, it was just kind of working out well. In the way that I've written the song, the hook's supposed to happen 2 times, and then my verse comes in, and then the hook comes in for another 2 times, and my verse again, and then another 2 times of a hook. And for a jazz band, that's not kind of going to work because it's not all about me just rapping. So it's kind of like, do your hook the 1 time so we don't overuse it, and then do your verse, and then come out for 4 to 8 bars, and then let the horns come in. So now there's a balance of music and vocals. And then after that, go back into your verse, then do the hook again, and then we'll tag the end of the song. But then don't say your whole hook, just say part of it. So it becomes like more of a motif, and kind of just figuring out these detailed arrangement parts. I think that's where we kind of figure out the song. And then we road test a lot of the music before we're even in the studio with it. So most of this album, K1 and most of K2, actually, by the time it comes out, will have been road tested. So we know what the music's going to do to people live. So we really know like, okay, this needs to change on this song. This is dragging too much. And I think that's probably something I probably would coach other bands or people that just write songs as solo artists to do. You don't have to have the song released to perform it live, but performing the song live allows you to really see where your song is winning and where it's dying, and then also what you can really change or manipulate or accentuate, because the live song needs to be, at least in my estimation, a step up from the studio version, but you still need to find a way to keep part of that thread of, I'm still listening to that studio version, because I hate when I go to people's concerts and let's say it's Kendrick Lamar and he's doing Rich Spirit. If I don't hear that Rich Spirit, broke bone, keep playing with me, I'm going to turn your ass into a song. If I don't hear that, I'm be like, well, what the fuck we doing? Like, go home. Like, but if you give me that and then do something different to the live, you serviced what I'm looking for, but then I'm also now able to enjoy your live performance. And now each song is independent of each other, though it is still the same piece of music. Yeah.
This is super tangential. I want to get back to the initial question, but just to pick up on that, road testing things live. It's just having a feedback system, like playing something live and being okay with changing it. I think that quite often in the jazz world, things can get a little bit static. Like the song is written, it's arranged, it's now on a page, and it like once the band learns it, it's like, okay, it's done. So I think with Kai, we've always liked to keep it fresh. We like to change the intros, change interludes in the songs and stuff like that. To go back to the songs and the way that they came about with Purposes, like that was like a mixture of reacting to the vocals and like what Jern was saying about how the hook doesn't need to always happen in the same places and stuff like that. It's actually this full of hooks, that song. Like the bass line's catchy. There's a sax melody. Even the bit where you're talking about my American dream, I just want to make some changes. That's hooky, but then even the sax underneath it is quite hooky. Like it's just full of like hooks. I think like I don't really see the barrier of like, oh, I need that one moment to catch people, and I need to put it at the start of the song. I just imagine that those barriers aren't there.
Paul, you mentioned that you had some voice notes of Purpose. Yeah. Can we hear some?
Absolutely, I've got it here actually.
I don't know how you have memory left on that phone, bro.
So this is I was in the shower and I was just beatboxing, and then like this thing came to me and I was like, oh, this is really cool, and I had to jump out of the shower and record it. So this is literally what this is. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
that almost sounds like jazzy and big bandy. Almost.
And then I think, that's the vibe I wanted, and then. so silly. But like from there, you can hear like the main hook is the ba 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 ba. So I turned it into like a 6-bar loop to make it weird. And then the boom, 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 boom is like the bass line. And then ba-doo-da is the B section when you're talking about the American Dream. I almost died twice. I got a hell of a story. Yeah. And it always, like that song for me as well, again, just like beautiful link and partnership with what Journalist talks about. At that time, I was quite like, I just wanted to make something really simple. And like it to me, the song is like an on-off button between, okay, super jazzy, super hip-hoppy. Just like, oh, let's just turn it to this bass element to just go jazz, hip-hop, jazz, hip-hop. And also, so in a way, to me at the time, it felt like a kind of like, it felt rebellious to do. I don't don't know why, but like that works with the lyrics again, because the lyrics are like about, you know, fuck the major, excuse the language, sorry, but like the major labels. And
I've already cussed enough on here, man.
All right, okay.
It's allowed. I think the bass line sounds so, it's got so much attitude. So it feels it feels rebellious to me as well.
This is very moody.
Yeah.
This is very moody. It's like I'm upset with something today. It's like, we're in your face now.
Yeah.
That's actually for the next album, I'd say it's well better. I'd say the next album's well better. But it's so moody. It's so moody and dark. It's like, what? Like, where are we going? You're going on a ride. You're going on a ride.
I can't wait to hear it. I'm very excited.
Those other ones like on K1 where like Detroit Cartier, maybe we could mention that. That's one that's like from scratch though. So from scratch, that's the song where he was making the drums at first. And I was like, oh, I know what to do with this. And then I'm glad I didn't come up with it because I still remember the first line I wanted to come up with. It was something about just like having like a really nice watch and just like, it's a stupid Rolex, like, oh, if you know about your watches, then like switch motions, like it was really dumb. And then I remember I went to the bathroom. I was in the bathroom. I came back out. I was like, oh, I got it. Smooth as a mink dragging on a marble floor. I was like, oh, this is about to be crazy. This is about to be crazy. And then once I get that like first bar, at least from like me writing to production, once I have that first bar, I can kind of build from there. And then that's where I get the rest of the song. So it's kind of just that hurdle of like, he's got some really good drums that's kind of got this like old school, like hip hop vibe, but kind of gives me that kind of Griselda Clips Pusha T angle. And I was like, oh, love rapping to these kind of beats. So I was like, perfect. I know what to do with this. And then it was just working it out and then just coming up with the hooks and then just putting things in the right places. And then from there, you got Detroit Cartier. Yeah, and then giving it to Robbie to like
he had that bass.
Yeah, the bass line on it. And then Matt did some percussion. Yeah, because sometimes it is just a beat as well, the way that we produce things, but like it just depends on what the record wants, you know.
Service the music. I think that's a tip for anybody as well. It's like if you could get to this point as a musician that you kind of put down like your ego when you go to create, and you're just like, whatever the music's telling me to do, I'll do that. I think that's a safer place to work from because now you're not like competing with the market or trying to follow trends. You're just like, I picked up my cello today. Cello says it wants to play in C minor, so we played in C minor. Banging. Like, it takes so much of the stress out of it because we'll all get like very neurotic. Like, I'll spend sometimes writing a verse and it's like 2.5 hours and I'm like 4 bars in. It's like, it's not that deep, bro. Just start saying shit and then it'll just build from there. So I think that makes it a lot easier that when we're working together, I find everybody kind of just does the music. Nobody's really like, oh, like I got to get my part off. Like Paul's never like, I have to solo right here after he finishes his verse. Like it has to happen. It's like, all right, bro, chill out.
Huge thanks again to Paul and Journalist for chatting to us. Kai Reesu play at Eton Festival in Moffat on Friday the 12th of June, Glasgow Jazz Festival on Saturday the 13th of June, the Skinny Stage at Kelburn Garden Party on Sunday the 5th of July, and Edinburgh Jazz and Blues Festival on Sunday the 26th of July. The Music Now podcast was hosted by me, Laurie Presswood, and produced and recorded by Peter Simpson, with sounds and music by Brian Pecora. Thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, spread the word and give us a review wherever you get your podcasts.